Okay, hello Lympo community. Thank you for joining me on this YouTube Google Hangout. It's a beautiful day here in Australia. I'm currently in northern New South Wales. It's very hot. I understand a lot of you are from Europe and it's obviously a lot colder out there. So rug up and make sure you're getting out into the snow to experience some of that cold therapy. We'll just wait a few minutes or a couple of seconds to see if anyone else is going to jump on the call. And then we'll get stuck into some of your favorite questions. So I really appreciate people sending in their questions via email. Obviously, there are a lot of interesting topics to cover with health, a lot of controversial sometimes topics. And sometimes it's really easy to get confused and hear things from people who may not necessarily have your best interest in mind, or may just perhaps not know exactly the right way to get good results and to live a healthy, happy life. So I guess I'll start with a little bit about me. I mean, I've been a health and fitness coach in the holistic space for about 4 years. And before that, I have a degree in biomedicine, and I was on the path to becoming a medical doctor. Also started studying osteopathic medicine. So I was learning how to use my hands and I guess really build my intuition in getting a much deeper understanding of the human body, not just from reading books and understanding how to live healthy from an intellectual perspective, but also from intuition. Obviously, I look pretty young. I'm 25, turning 26, and I'm very fortunate to have had a very clear path through this health and fitness journey for the last, I'd say, 8 years, since I was about 17. So let's get stuck into a few of the questions. If you want to just answer or ask any questions that you would like in the chat box, then please feel free and I'll do my best to answer all of your questions. But I do have a few predetermined questions here already that were sent in by the Lympo community, so thank you very much for that. The first one we'll discuss is, what do you think about Tabata training? Tabata. So do you think training Tabata 3 times a week will replace one longer run? Do you think HIIT workouts at all are good? Now, it's obviously a pretty complex answer. First, I'll explain what Tabata training is. So Tabata training started, sort of became popular a few years ago, and it was actually invented in Japan by a Japanese doctor. And basically, he discovered that you could get really great benefits of health and fitness, particularly through genetic expression, just by training for 20 seconds, high intensity, as fast as you can, go, and then 10 seconds of rest. And you would repeat that 8 times. So it's only a 4-minute workout. Now, obviously, you'd think, wow, how efficient is that? I would love to be able to just do my workouts in 4 minutes. And there's no doubt it does have some benefit over your body. But people are always looking for the magic pill. They're always looking for the quick fix. And real progress takes the hard work. It takes consistent practice, doing it every day. If you're going to do your movement training, it's for at least an hour. And the more you do, the healthier, the more adept at movement practice you will become. Now, for people who are very busy and time poor, sure, the Tabata sets can work. But also people who are busy and time poor are particularly quite stressed. And the Tabata set training can be very stressful for the wrong person. So I really want to stress this point, that there is no one exercise program for everyone in the world. That would just be ridiculous. Everyone has different genetics. They have different geological backgrounds. They have different nutritional intakes. They have different time schedules, and so there's hundreds, if not thousands, of variables that we need to take into consideration when we're programming a client. As a coach, that's what we do, is we determine what are the best exercise programs for clients to do to achieve the results that they're after. And Tabata training can be effective for some people, and I've used it myself in the past. For my clients, I typically never prescribed it, and because I do believe that in some instances it's looking for that magic pill, it's looking for that quick fix, and that does take a certain mindset to want to keep always, I guess, looking for that cheap shot for developing health. but there is no cheap shot. There are proven strategies to get to your goals, and oftentimes, most of the time, they take hard work. So it can also be great for a short period of time, doing a Tabata workout for 4 weeks or so. But there's no one program for your entire life. So if you expect that you're going to be able to achieve great results and keep growing as a human and keep growing as a fitness enthusiast, but just by doing the exact same routine day in and day out for 40 to 60 years, I mean, it's a little bit ludicrous, would you say? So there's no one training program for everyone in the world, and there's no one training program for you for your entire life. So it's really important that you do diversify your training programs and actually deliberately pick the thing that is going to work for you, take into consideration your workload, your stress load, things like even gut health, how much food are you eating? There's so many different factors that are consideration. And I think Tabata training can be great, but it also can be very damaging. So if used for the right person, go for it. Obviously, it's difficult to get a full understanding without knowing more about this person's background. Question on the live chat: can you tell us more about yourself and your different approach to fitness? Sure. I mean, I can go into this a little bit more detail later on, but I suppose I talked a bit about myself before. My approach to health and fitness is really holistic. So you have, as I said before, you just have to take all things into consideration, learn about the person as much as you can, whether that's yourself or whether that's a client, and really using the best practices that are out there without using, a judgment bias or that guy's vegan, that guy's paleo, whatever. It's about really understanding what's right for the individual, and that's really my approach to all of this. So another question: when are you doing lots of sports? So when you are doing lots of sports, do you take protein shakes before or after workouts? Do you think it is worth it? So I sometimes used to do this when I was coaching, and it's mainly because I was working in long hours and I worked a lot, and I didn't always prepare my meals ahead of time. So I would train and then I would take a protein shake after my workout, and often I would go straight into another client, and that just allowed me to have the energy to keep going. To sit down and reheat another meal and eat that meal may have been another half an hour out of my schedule, which I couldn't afford sometimes. So really, it's for the time poor. It's for people who can't prepare their meals. It's for people who aren't really eating enough protein in their life in general. They find eating a lot of food hard. And so in that instance, it can be quite beneficial. Once again, if you're using the same protein shake every single day for years on end, you're only really exposing yourself to a certain amino acid profile. And there can be a lot of glutamic acid and things like this in protein shakes, where if you take them every day, they can be quite stimulating for your nervous system. And people can sometimes be anxious in this sort of thing. So it can also be damaging for gut health. And if you're taking protein shakes that aren't organic and no sugars and things like this, they can be really damaging for your health. Lots of preservatives, artificial sweeteners. There's some really toxic supplement products out in the market at the moment, and you really have to do your own research or find someone that can recommend you a good quality protein shake or any supplement for that matter, and really understand that the benefits of choosing the right supplement for you as well. So we'll go into that a little bit more detail in a moment. But for protein shakes, as I said, it's really important that you choose the right one. If you're doing whey protein, make sure it's from grass-fed cows that aren't injected with hormones. They're roaming around in the paddocks, and they can produce a lot better protein. If you're having pea protein, make sure it's not doused with artificial sweeteners and crazy chemicals that make it turn, fluorescent pink. Because there's some really nasty stuff. There's some terrible, poorly regulated industry. It's a supplement industry. So really do your own due diligence with that one. In terms of how you could get that protein without the protein shakes, well, the best form does come from animal protein, and in living a stressful life, you do deplete a lot of your own amino acids. So it's important that you you can have the nutrients from whole foods, such as meats, rather than just a powder that's going to try and replace a full nutrient dense food. I mean, and the healthier the animal, the healthier you are. I always say, you aren't just what you eat, you're also what you ate. So making sure that the foods that the animals that you're eating, if you are consuming meat, then make sure it's not, grain fed and stuffed in a cage and this sort of stuff. It can be really damaging for the environment, but also for your health. Another question, are you taking any kind of medicine, vitamins, or other supplements to keep your body even healthier? I definitely rotate through my supplements. I don't always take the same supplement protocol on and off, throughout my whole lifespan. And once again, if you're doing the exact same thing every day, you're going to either reach a point of limiting returns where you can't actually have a benefit from that thing anymore, or you get a toxic buildup of that thing. And so you have to constantly always change up how you're eating, how you're moving, this sort of thing. Otherwise, you start to decay or overtrain. And so for me, my supplements that I've recommended to clients in the past have actually been magnesium, particularly for stress and people who can't sleep that well. And so you would take anywhere from 10 to 20 milligrams per kilo of body weight. So for me, that's about 800 milligrams of magnesium, right in the evening before bed. And that can just really help you sleep if you had a stressful day, or you're working long hours, things like that. Really important mineral that most people are deficient in. The next one is zinc, and for males, it's really important that they get enough zinc. Females too, of course, but for males, there are a lot of estrogenic compounds in the world at the moment, from pesticides to lots and lots of grains and legumes and things like this. Soy is a big one. And so zinc can be really good for helping build testosterone in the body and helping you basically drop body fat, which is obviously a big goal for a lot of people. Really big for the immune health as well. So if you find yourself getting sick a lot, I would definitely increase your protein consumption as well as your zinc intake. Anywhere from 30 to 150 milligrams with breakfast can be really good. And then we have fish oil for inflammation and blood sugar management. That can be taken morning or night, doesn't really matter. Glutamine for gut health, that's an amino acid that can be really good for helping rebuild the microvilli of the intestines, which helps you absorb nutrients and also ultimately give you more energy, particularly when you're stressed or overtraining, things like that. If you're really an athlete and you're doing lots of intense workouts, glutamine can be great to help prevent that overtraining effect. Probiotics for traveling and gut health. Obviously, if you're experiencing some gut health issues, like diarrhea, constipation, or even anxiety, skin issues like acne and so forth, psoriasis, eczema, these are all gut issues, believe it or not. And so it's important that, if you do have these more severe complications, you can go down the path of taking stool tests and even blood chemistry tests to really see the bacterial makeup of your body, of your gut, and then you can be able to understand a much more direct approach at actually fixing any issues that are coming up with that. And one last one I've been experimenting with recently is mushroom tea. So not the psychedelic mushrooms, of course. We're talking about medicinal mushrooms like lion's mane, chaga, reishi, cordyceps. These can be really good for energy and immune health, as well as basically making your brain function more healthily in a more optimal state. And I find that the lion's mane particularly helps me concentrate. So that's one I'm having a bit of fun with recently, and maybe you should check that out. What is your story behind how did you start your journey through health? Yeah, that's a good question. So when I was 16, I smashed a moped into the back of a truck at 60 kilometers per hour, and my shin hit the tow bar, and a really terrible compound fracture of my leg, and also crushed the windpipe with a helmet strap. And I was in a coma for a few days, and really that pushed me on a trajectory towards health and fitness, as I was exposed to a lot of really great medical professionals, psychologists, rehabilitation therapists. And so before that, I actually wanted to become a marine biologist, and I wanted to help the oceans and clean up all the damage that had been done over the last few decades. And before that, so before that accident, that's what I wanted to do. And then after that, I was about 55 kilos at 6'2", which is extremely emaciated. I was very skinny. My cheeks were sunken, and I really lost my health. I was in a terrible way. Couldn't walk for a few months. I was on crutches and a wheelchair for the first few weeks. And then I decided I wanted to get into fitness, and I wanted to build my muscle back. And so I went from 55 kilos to 82 kilos in about a year and a half, 2 years. And doing that, I actually put my body out of proportion. I was doing all the bodybuilder exercises and trying to really work my body in a way that was going to get the biggest muscles so I could press all the girls and that sort of thing. But ultimately, that really put me in a bad way. And so at 18, 19 years old, I was waking up with chronic back pain. And I realized that I'd done something really poor, because at that age, you really shouldn't have any chronic injuries like that, specifically lower back pain. Or at any age, you shouldn't really have that sort of stuff. But that ultimately led me to yoga, and I started really dedicating myself to learning the art of yoga, also the background as well as the postures and the breath work and this sort of thing. And it helped me really shift my mindset to more prioritizing myself. And that's when I started exploring good, healthy nutrition, which really changed the game for me. I had a lot of allergies growing up, and so this allowed me to tap in and basically reduce all allergies through my nose and things within a few weeks, just by taking out dairy and gluten and things like that. That was a big moment for me in understanding that I had control over my own health. And I started studying a degree in biomedicine, and then ultimately osteopathic medicine, and became a health coach. And then ultimately I just published a new book in December called Man Alive. It's currently number 17 on Amazon for men's health. So if you're a guy and want to get healthier, then check that book out for sure. What do you think about fasting? Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's really popular at the moment. Fasting is incredibly beneficial for the right person at the right time. And for me, I've used it in the past, and I've actually gone too far. I started almost starving myself and thinking, oh, I'm doing so good for my body. I'm increasing autophagy, which is cell clearing. So all the cells that die, your body needs to clear them out as waste, and fasting helps promote that. It also helps promote disease protective genes. So if you predisposed to cancer or heart disease, these sorts of things, fasting can help switch those off. But if you do it for a long period of time, and if you do it to the extreme, you're going to start starving yourself. And particularly if you're in a stress state, your body's not going to cope very well at all. And so if you're working long hours and these sorts of things, and you are someone who is stimulated a lot with emails and text messages, and they have to work a high pressure job, or even you're an athlete, fasting can be quite damaging to the body. And so for women, I wouldn't recommend going longer than 12 hours. For men, usually 16 hours without eating. That said, if you want to take a few days out of the year, 2 to 3 days out of the year, go into nature, remove yourself from your regular environment, and then go a period with just drinking water. Out in nature, you can really experience some profound benefits just by doing that. It's almost like a reset for the body. You can help clean out the digestive system and feel a lot clearer in your head as well. So I can recommend that. But other than that, again, for the individual, I need to know more about the specific circumstance to really say fasting is a good thing for you. But it can be really great for the right person at the right time. And once again, there's no one diet for everyone in the world, and there's no one diet for you for your entire life. So always changing it up with a conscious effort to make sure that you're doing the right thing for you, not just picking anything from anywhere. I read a blog recently, how about fasting? Let's try that. That can get you actually unhealthier. It can be quite damaging. So make sure that you do your own research, and you work with people that you trust, a holistic health coach or a functional medicine doctor that's trained in this sort of area. How come you turned away from practitioner models of health and instead opted to transform men's lives by becoming a health coach in Australia? So obviously I was studying on a path to become a medical doctor. And then when that didn't work out, I started to becoming an osteopath, working with my hands with people. But ultimately, I let that degree go and I turned away from those models of health, partly because I didn't really see myself there, working in a clinic every single day, 5 days a week for 20 years. I saw myself a bit more versatile than that. And I also didn't want to be put into an institution that had labels and identities, because they generally force you to prescribe treatments in a way that is conducive to their model of health. Whereas me just being a coach, with a loose label like that, I get it. It's a bit strange to a trainer or a coach. But I actually can learn from whoever I like, and I can apply what works. And I can leave what doesn't. I don't need to be told what to do regarding specific legislations and restrictions like that. Of course, I'm not going to do anything dangerous or illegal, but in terms of recommending things. But it's I find it quite liberating to actually be in a position where I am, where I can spend time writing a book and I can recommend things to clients, and we can have open chats about this sort of thing. Obviously, there are benefits to regulatory bodies, like only teaching what is evidence-based medicine and things like this. But there's also limitations to that. I find also that more and more health professionals are blending together. You have physiotherapists learning what chiropractors are doing. You have chiropractors learning what psychologists are doing. And so this whole thing of, these separate domains are now starting to blend in a more coherent model of healthcare, which I really find is quite exciting. I can't wait to see what happens more and more out of this. Hey Jordan, what do you think about skipping breakfast but eating more in the evening? This can be really good. Yeah, once again, it's the intermittent fasting model. If you skip breakfast and you eat between the hours of 12 and sort of 8 p.m. or some people go between 2 and 4 p.m. and they try and eat 3,500 calories in a 2-hour window. And I don't know if anyone's ever tried to do that. It's incredibly difficult. So if you can only eat 1,500 calories in that 2-hour window when you've designated yourself that's the only time that you can eat, well, you actually might be missing out on 1,500 calories worth of nutrients every single day. And when you compound that every single day over months and months and months, you potentially may start to lose muscle mass. You may start to lose cognitive function. The protein systems in your gut may start to degrade, and then you have experienced digestive complications. You may find that you don't sleep as well at night because you're eating less nutrients across the board. So yeah, intermittent fasting can be great, especially for guys. Overweight males can really benefit from it for quite a long period of time. But it's really important that you don't undereat throughout the entire day. Rather just condense your meals to a specific time of the day. Hope I answered that question. And what sports do you do, and which you think is most efficient for relaxation? That's a good question. For me, sports that I have done in the past, martial arts, yoga. I was a big basketball player in high school right before I smashed my moped and then couldn't play in the championship year for the team, which is unfortunate. I'm also a big fan of dancing. Obviously, I've coached weightlifting as well as done that myself. Strongman training, powerlifting, these sorts of things. I'm now on a big gymnastics exploration, so I'm a big fan of handstands and getting upside down on the rings and really playing with moving your body through space rather than moving things around your body. I'm always in a state of learning something new. And I think that's really big for brain development, and also just keeping your movement practice or your exercise rituals consistent. I've been learning juggling for about a year, slacklining. I just went to Tasmania recently and learned how to fly fish. And, while these things might not be considered sports, there's still a way to move your body and get the blood flowing, and also get the brain developing with new neural networks that we know actually doing this work can help prevent Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's disease and these sorts of things. So Yeah, I really like to explore all things, whether it be moving balls around, developing strength, developing mobility. There's so many different ways that you can move your body. The best for relaxation, hands down, I've noticed something like a soft martial art, like a yoga, tai chi, qigong. These are absolutely key to proper mental health, and I highly recommend someone or everyone at least try that out for, say, 10 classes or so, and then you'll be able to see the benefit there. Do you have a cool approach to removing bad habits, say soda, smoking, addictive foods, sugar in general? That's a good question, Dom. I believe that the best way to approach removing these bad habits is to really get deep down into why you want to do this. And if your goals are strong enough, you will easily find a way to not have sugar again. Now, one of my clients that I was working with, he came to me at 200 kilos, and he basically had spent the last 40 years drinking Coke, eating donuts, chips. He had 10 cappuccinos a day. And, you know, by all measures, he was probably the person that you would expect to never change. But he had 3 kids, and there was nothing more that he wanted to do than to stay alive for his 3 kids. And so he did everything I told him without any questions asked, no slip-ups. It was amazing. I didn't even know humans were capable of being so obedient, right? You know, it's like we think that we'll all have slip-ups and things, but maybe once a year he told me, oh, Jordan, I had a glass of wine last night and I felt terrible the next day. And it's because he had such a strong why, you know, to die at an early age and not see your kids grow up. That is much worse than giving up sugary drinks and soda and this sort of thing. Another thing I've recently explored is that humans are wired to seek these dopamine generating activities, which is, you know, consuming sugar helps to generate dopamine. So if you're not setting goals and achieving things in life and living a life on purpose, you will actually be more inclined to go consume sugars and alcohols and these sorts of things that help, you know, make you happy, because you're not experiencing happiness out there in the world. Then you have to ingest these chemicals that make you experience this happiness. So I really suggest people who just can't shake this to have a strong why, and also be connected to themselves, connect to their purpose in life, connect to a community around them, and also connected to nature. It's a good question. Woo, martial arts, yeah. Do you count calories? I have in the past, and I have recommended all of my clients to try it for a month and just really understand how much calories are in food. Because one thing, because I was living in Melbourne CBD in the city, and one thing I often noticed was that everybody was actually under eating. Now this seems crazy because we're always told to eat less and eat less and eat less, and this is what exactly people were doing. And so they had low energy, and therefore they had lots of coffees each day. And so they came to us, and we said, you know, how much food are you eating? And they would write down what they were eating. And oftentimes for a female, it could be between 600 and 900 calories. And then I would plug it into the computer and say, well, you probably should be eating 1,500 calories. And then when you're doing lots of exercise, maybe 2,000 calories. And you just see the light bulbs go off in their head, like, oh, that's why I have no energy, you know. But this doesn't mean that we're just counting calories and stripping out all knowledge about what makes good food. You know, we're having calorie counting for a short period, keeping in mind that healthy food is healthy food, you know. So what is 1,000 calories of pizza and donuts versus 1,000 calories of you know, wild caught fish and nuts and, you know, salad? So what's 1,000 calories of those? How much nutrients is each thing? So yes, counting calories is important just to get an understanding about how much food your body actually needs to eat, because a lot of people underestimate it. And then also, you know, making sure that you do consider what foods make up those calories. Next question. Who are your role models in coaching and why? I have a few role models, people that have mentored me in the past. Ido Portal is a huge movement coach. I'm going to go see him in April in Thailand. So if anyone wants to join me there, it's called Movement Camp. David O'Brien, who I spent 3.5 years being mentored by down there in Melbourne. Keegan Smith, he's in New South Wales, and he's a coach of coaches. So he really teaches budding health and fitness coaches how to, I guess, have more impact in the world, and he's expanding his organization around the world. Dr. John DeMartini and Tony Robbins are big influences on me in terms of psychology and behavior change, having goals and really getting connected to purpose. It's really important. Basically just people who lead by example, and they don't settle for less. So they're always walking the walk as well as talking the talk. They have higher expectations for their students than the students do for themselves. Now this is big because I need to actually help clients or students get to a place where they can't even visualize themselves. And that's more inspiring than I want to lose 5 kilos, or why not 15 if that's what you can lose, for a better life. So yeah, the role models, they need to work hard, they need to get results, they need to walk the talk. It's like any industry, right? How could you describe your health journey until this point? Well, I'm always constantly learning, I'm always improving. I'm going in different directions at all times. So I'm learning about movement, I'm learning about nutrition, I'm learning about meditation and yoga and breath work. I'm learning about going back into nature and exploring, what human beings are supposed to be doing from an evolutionary perspective. So really exploring learning and new directions all the time. Are you interested in shorter term goals or longer term transformation? That question is key, really. I mean, always aim for the long term. 12-week transformations, 8-week booty body bikini guides are great. They can get people motivated, but typically what you see is oftentimes people get injured during those periods of time because it's all about go, smash yourself to get the fastest result you can. So they get injured in that period of time, and then that knocks them off the bandwagon even more. Or they get their goal and then they go, oh, okay, well, now I've done the 8-week transformation, I hit my goal, now I can go back to the way I was. And it's like, well, no, you're just actually going to, if you adopt the same lifestyle habits that you used to, you're going to develop the same body and same mind that you had back then as well. So yeah, focusing on inspiration rather than motivation when you're looking at those long-term goals. So just like my client who had those 3 kids and he really needed inspiration to keep going, that was huge for him. He didn't have just short-term motivation. So you always have to ask, what are you doing this for? What is motivating you to be healthy today? The inspiration to be better than I was yesterday. So I'm currently really trying to develop a good practice of movement, as well as exploring a lot more exposure to nature, getting out into the wilderness and learning what that's like and how that influences your health, because it has a huge perspective. If anyone doesn't understand how important getting out into nature is, it's imperative. I mean, just sit in the forest or on the beach for 30 minutes without your phone and just look, just observe, and you'll feel a lot different. And this has huge impacts on genetic expression, inflammation, disease states. It's very, very important. What do you feel good about in your life right now? These are getting personal. I feel good about being alive. That's what I feel good about. I feel good about every moment, being able to have great gratitude for each moment that passes, even the challenging times, because they are the teachers, they are the lessons in life. They give you the wisdom and the understanding to keep growing. I'm also feeling good about being amongst nature more. That's the ultimate teacher. And also time to be able to share this knowledge with you all. So and I feel good about writing my book. What would you recommend people who don't have enough money to attend retreats and travel somewhere abroad? Can they make the same progress and get the same benefit while they are in the homeland? Absolutely. I mean, just explore books, podcasts. I wouldn't recommend TV. That generally doesn't lead you in a good direction. Qualified coaches, functional medicine doctors, these people can all get you on the right path to start a health and fitness journey. You don't need to travel to retreats to find peace and health. It's an illusion. Although I do run retreats, they're really important to develop a community and great transformation in a short period of time. But there's no prerequisite for retreats to become healthy. Any step forward is better than nothing. Just eating right, anti-inflammatory foods like removing sugar and alcohol and fried foods, even sometimes grains and legumes can be damaging for people. Sometimes dairy, eggs, these nuts, depending on the person, it's very individualized. So learn to meditate and breathe properly, move your body, spend time in nature. Very, very important. Couple more questions, guys, hanging in there. Nowadays, most of us living in high stress level lack time. What would you recommend to people who don't have enough time to meditate at least 1 hour per day or to make some exercise every day? Well, maybe you can meditate for 10 minutes per day, maybe 5, maybe 2, maybe 1 minute. You just sit on the floor, close your eyes, and take a deep inhale. And you do that every day, and all of a sudden 1 minute turns into 5, and 5 turns into 10. I don't even meditate for an hour every day. It's very rare that people have the time to do that or the discipline to do that as well. So start somewhere is my big answer to that. But yeah, so meditation, you also have movement. So move your body. Don't just expect that exercise is going to get you healthy. It's all about learning to move your body in different ways and try to move as much as you can throughout the day. So try not to sit all day, even standing all day can have its negative effects. Last question. I want to eat good food and stay fit, but I don't have time to cook 5 meals per day. Do you have advice for busy people to stay healthy and eat healthy food? There are lots of healthy meal services in most major cities now, and that's typically where most people are busy. So trying to locate a healthy meal service that can deliver meals to you once or twice a week can be really effective, even if it's just lunch at work or dinner when you get home from a big day. Those meal services can be good. Also, grocery shopping can take a lot of time, so now you can get farmers' food delivered direct to your house. Just explore whatever's in your area regarding food delivery, because it can save a lot of time. Cooking in bulk is a big thing. So slow cooked meals, curries, these things that you can have a lot of food in a big pot or a slow cooker. I have had a one pot philosophy in the past, and when you're really time poor, you have to cook everything in one pot. Veggies, get your meats, get your fats, and yeah, you can really save a lot of time by cooking in bulk. Dried foods like jerky, nuts, and even tinned fish, if you get the right sauce. The oceans are getting really damaged at the moment, and so it's important that you do choose an ethical source of fish. And then smoothies as well. So you can chuck a whole bunch of coconut milk, fruits, nuts, vegetables, protein powders into a blender and blend that thing, and then you can drink that on the drive to work if you're really busy and that sort of thing. Just a great way to get another meal in if you find that you're really lacking energy and you have to keep going for the sugars, going for the coffees early in the morning or even at 3 o'clock slump. So yeah, smoothies can be really helpful there as well. Okay, thank you very, very much, everyone. I can see that it's actually getting quite blurry now. Oh, it's sorry, dark. So yeah, thank you so much for asking these questions. I hope you've found value from it. If you haven't already explored it, check out Man Alive, my book. It's got, packed with everything that I've just talked about, but much, much more as well. So yeah, you can explore that, but also I'm happy to do another one if the Lympo team wants me to do another hangout and answer more questions. Yeah, it's been really fun. So thanks everybody. and have a wonderful, wonderful day.